Now we're going to truly understand your guests and maximise their experience with the help of Angus Blest from Adyen, from Duncan Osborn from Agilysys, and Scot Turner from Auden, who's going to moderate this session. Please welcome all three of them. Well, I dare say you'll be with us shortly. I could tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't have to be here. You know, I'm very much in demand, despite my age. I was asked to host the Larders, the Laundry and Dry Cleaning Awards today, for a fat fee, but I said no. My loyalty, I'm afraid, is with HOSPACE, which is a clash of date. I could have cleaned up with them, couldn't I? But I decided to shun their bed sheets in favour of your spreadsheets. There we go. There we go. It'll get worse if they don't come on the stage soon. We had a very interesting day with the grandchildren. My 5-year-old granddaughter was holding my hand as we approached Kentucky Fried Chicken, and she said, pointed up at the sign and said, "Look, Pop, it's you." She thinks I'm a very famous caterer and dead. Right, we've got our panel. Please give them a warm welcome.
We'll talk loud. There we go. Sorry, that was definitely pre-planned, so Peter could knock some of those out of the park for you. But thank you very much for today. We haven't got very long to get through a topic that's probably very intense. In 27 years of working in this industry, I'm not sure we've seen a shift in guests as we are doing right now. And I was asked to talk about this exact subject in America this year. And one of the two things that came out of that, of what is really influencing how guests want experience today, is convenience and personalization, and there's some of the things that we want to touch on over this next 15 minutes. And because of time, I'll just introduce Duncan Osborn, Senior Business Development Manager from Agilysys, and Angus Blest, Head of Commercial at Adyen. So we'll get straight in, guys. Angus, I'll come to you first. From what you're seeing across hotels and some of the hotels that you're working with globally, not just here in the UK, how has behaviour and expectation of the modern guest changed over the few years to get to where we are today?
I think the key thing for all to be aware is not just the hospitality industry. We're seeing consumer behaviour, consumer expectations change across every sector. As a payments company, we see a lot of information from lots of different sectors. And convenience is absolutely the core, but it's just these expectations, you know. Now, if we order something online, we expect it delivered the next day. If we turn up anywhere, we don't want to queue. Everybody expects this entirely frictionless experience in every step of their life. And that has now landed in the hospitality sector, just like it's landed in any other sector. And so the task in the hospitality is to try and meet those expectations. But I think one of the challenges that then sits in there is this is a luxury industry at one end and a convenience industry sometimes, or a more value-based experience. So on one hand, you've got to give someone that seamless experience where they can just sort of come in and check into their hotel and check out with barely touching anyone. But then there's another set of people who are spending their discretionary spend on this amazing experience in a luxury hotel who don't want it to be quick and fast and want to have the whole experience. And trying to navigate that path is probably the challenging thing for the hospitality industry. And so it's about knowing your experience you're trying to deliver for your customers.
Sure. And for which customer wants which experience is one of the things that we're seeing quite a lot, is that convenience of choice for what you want to do when you're in the hotel at the specific time. Duncan, how about you?
I couldn't agree more with Angus, actually. I think the perception that we used to have 10 years ago where checking into a hotel, we're all happy, I say happy, accepting of the fact that you'd have a 10-minute queue to check in, you'd have an hour's wait for your room service, there'd be a delay at the bar when you're trying to order drinks, and people are expecting that to be ready for them, so they want to come down to the bar and have drinks on the table, ready for them, pre-ordered, they want to pre-check-in, they want to express check-out. It's all about the seamless movement through that journey for the guest. So the perception is now that they want to be able to just do all of that stuff before they arrive, have this seamless journey through their whole stay, whether that's family, whether it's an individual business traveller, whatever it is, everyone has different expectations, but we've got to be ready to meet those. And I think we're doing really well. We've still got a long way to go.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting how you both picked out on convenience when asking about the change of the modern guest, and I guess a lot of life now has led to that. But I remember working in operations, and personalization was always trying to get the name on the back of a credit card as quickly as possible to be able to use it with a guest. Personalization's becoming really, really important. How are the best hotels that you're seeing, some great examples, now looking at how you build genuine personality into the experience? Duncan?
Yeah, from personal experience, like, my pet hate is when I check into a hotel and they ask if I'd stayed there before. I can't stand that question because it means they're not reading the profile. So it might be that they don't have the technology behind that provides the profile with that information. But an expert hotel, a really good business hotel, should be able to say, hey, Mr. Osborn, great to see you again. You haven't been with us for 6 months. Where the heck have you been? You know, why have you been staying somewhere else? And just prompt that conversation. But it presents a much more personal experience for that particular traveller. Now, for the family side of things, that personal experience is a bit different because you're then greeting people's children as well. You want to make them comfortable, so it's a very different way of managing that. But you have to have that information to hand, almost pre-arrival, really, to be able to sort of greet that guest properly and make them comfortable, make them happy to be with you, and want to come back again. The repeat business side of things is huge here. So to give them that great experience is a really powerful thing.
And how are you seeing in some of the environments that you're working with of how people make this process easy? Because it is difficult having all this information everywhere with multiple systems and technology around the estate. How do you see people bring that into one place and then use it proactively?
Having that information to hand is vital. So a great experience would be someone is in a restaurant, they've got a golf book for the next day. I live in Wales, so I check the weather daily, right? It's a really important thing in my life, and I play golf. So if you've got a golf booking the next day, you know it's going to be rainy at that time. You want to be able to change that. How cool will it be if your waiting staff are able to do that while standing at the table with you? Because they've got the information to hand. So that's a bit beyond perhaps where we are today, but that will come. But you see people checking in, and they have this instant check-in, or pre-check-in, of course, and you can, even if they haven't done that, they've got a very quick process of getting through the check-in desk and off to their room. And I think we have to keep that going and have to keep building on that as well.
Angus, some of the things that you're seeing in the market?
Yeah, I mean, very similar kind of thoughts that, you know, in this sector, you know who your customers are, right? Everybody's checked in, you've gathered their passport details on it. So actually identifying who the customer is isn't actually the challenge in this sector. But making sure that that is consistent throughout the whole experience is probably the challenge, because as you go around a hotel, generally you've got lots of different systems that tap. You know, your golf system's often different from your spa, often different from your F&B than your property management system. So it's how you pull all of those pieces together to make sure that that is the consistent experience that everybody really wants to work with. You know, we talk about kind of in our industry about dynamic identification and trying to find a way that you can make sure you're always identifying who that shopper is. And I suppose one of the other challenges that sits in this sector is often the booking isn't made directly with the hotel. I know there's definitely a trend for direct bookings, and hotels are trying to have more and more direct bookings. That's primarily because they want to understand their customers better. And so actually anything that you can do to try and pull that data in so you can understand those customers better gives you the opportunity for that personalisation.
Yeah. And I think we always talk quite broad when we're looking at personalisation and convenience. And when we were chatting before, preparing for today, there was an example in Dubai of how that kind of frictionless payment really niched down into one particular area that had quite an impact in, I would expect, revenue. We've certainly seen that in results that we've worked with where we've implemented convenience payments. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's really it's a really useful one for a lot of people.
It gives examples of when you deliver convenience, it has revenue benefit for a hotel. So we work with the Atlantis in Dubai, and they've got an absolutely amazing water park. I'm sure many of you have been there. It's huge, it's absolutely enormous, but that means people are at that water park for an entire day. And when you're at water park, you're generally wearing a bikini or your swimming costume, right? That doesn't make the opportunity to upsell and sell people things particularly easy. So we worked with Atlantis to create NFC wristbands that everybody can wear, and that's tokenized to their payment methods, so that throughout that experience inside that water park, whether it's buying drinks, whether it's buying food, whether it's paying for photos that have been taken while on their slides, they're tapping this wristband, which means they don't have to carry their phone, they don't have to carry a credit card, they don't have to kind of sign bits about it, they literally just tap at speed and going through. And it has a significant impact to the customer experience, but probably even more important to that particular business is it has a huge impact to their revenue and ensuring that people are spending more throughout that visit.
Yeah, I think the lesson I took from that is really work with the people that you're working from a supplier perspective to really look at how you can niche down opportunity to make payments easier, to make experience easier, that therefore helps with revenue, but also helps with guest experience and frustration. We've not got too much longer left, so I'm going to fast forward. Everyone's been talking about 2026. I want to go a bit further forward because we're looking at guest experience. Things are moving so fast with AI and technology. 3 to 5 years, we're sitting here, we're asked to do this panel again. What are some of the things we're going to be talking about, and what can some people in this room who are in hotel operations start thinking about now to get ahead of the game? Angus, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I think there's lots of things, lots of technology. Technology is an enabler for some of these journeys and these changes. And some of the technology has been existing, right? So we're all quite familiar with Uber, and we call an Uber from our phone, we get into it, we get out, we don't even notice the payment, we don't even notice any aspect of that. We're not that far away from being able to deliver that journey within a hospitality environment because we do know who people are before they get there. So it's very possible we can be downloading the keys to our rooms onto our phones and using our phones as their means of entry. So there's definitely technology there that can simplify that. I think the key thing that we'll see is what we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, is that dynamic identification of people so that those that want that experience can have that experience, but those who want that white glove exceptional experience can get that, but in the same venue, and they can be queuing up at the same time. To be able to kind of manage that personalised experience, but dynamically according to what your guests want.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Duncan, last over to you.
Yeah, so I have a 13-year-old daughter, my mic's gone off, but I have a 13-year-old daughter, her expectations are all digital. So everything she does is on a phone. She doesn't actually speak to people. What she's going to want, she doesn't, she's a teenager, right? What she's going to want when she's 20, 21 is that whole same experience when booking travel, hotels, whatever. So we have to have that platform in place to be able to monetize those desires that these people have. I've got a 26-year-old godson who works in hospitality, but he's now traveling as well. He goes with his girlfriend. What he wants when he travels on his own is a seamless experience. When he's with his girlfriend, he checks in, he wants a bit more of a personal experience because he wants to be able to sit at dinner and have a nice experience with her and have a bit of a human touch in that environment. So we have to, as hotels, fully understand the expectations of those different guests. We all know family expectations are way different to a single Duncan traveling. I'm married, by the way. But so those expectations have to be met and understood, and we as a business have to fully understand exactly what those guests are going to require.
That's fantastic, and I think that's literally right on cue. So thank you very much to everyone. I hope there's some great takeaways from that.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. None the worse for keeping it high speed and brief as you did. We're very grateful to you. Actually, I checked into a hotel with my wife not very long ago, and the receptionist said, "Oh, you've stayed here before, haven't you? But you were with a different woman last time." Bit of a misery, as I remember. Whatever happened to her? And my wife said, "I dyed my hair."